is day 494 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you like to sponsor our coming share or more, the Arukh HaShulchan, please call me directly. We very greatly appreciate it. Say it was doing Simon Shinyan Beis. Didn't cover Habrios, Umadin Olina Mukta. Halacha covered Habrios, the dignity of creatures. What are its ramifications in terms of Mukta? And we are doing Sif Aleph through Sif Zion. It was Managmar, but take a social hemba social here. In time Gemara, their restrooms, their lavatories, their outhouses were in the fields beyond the city limits. Generally, you didn't have a permanent place for this. Sometimes here, sometimes there. Even those who had a permanent outhouse, wasn't specific for a specific individual. But many people would use them. In those days, they would not use paper to wipe themselves. He had them at son because there was a lack of paper. They, at the time, they would not use anything to wipe themselves, which fire could consume. Somebody uses something which fire can consume to wipe himself. His lower teeth, meaning the area of the rectum, fall out, whatever that means. They used to use soft stones. They muktim kisnavonim, which should be mukta, like all stones are. You can't prepare them. If you prepare them in the house, you can't take them out to the field where there's no air. You put them in if you prepare them in the field, other people will take them. Basically, you say kavua, even a person who had a steady place to go, wasn't only his. Okay, so what's he going to do? The dignity of creatures is great. And this is a very compelling issue. Base. That's what Chacham said. Because the dignity of humanity. They allowed you to move stones which are suitable for wiping. Meaning that somebody who has a specific place for a tend his needs, you're taking a handful of stones. But the answer is even though it doesn't need an entire handful for one time, we'll have them there for the next time. But even somebody else takes them, so what? It's all in the end, final analysis, moving stuff for the purpose of the outhouse. The Mali Acha, whether this will make it him or somebody else. Once since you take in one hand, it's one toil. Even though it's preferable not to take muktzah for someone else. He's really primarily taking him for himself for a different time. Like a man, we just said, somebody else takes him, so what? But the primary heter is because it's suitable for him. Therefore, if he has no set place, he cannot take of a handful, rather only enough to wipe himself that one time. This is the shear of a small pestle, which is used with the mortar and a pestle to pound spices. Mishabura says the shear rosh buchna ktana. It's the head of the shear of the head of a pestle. By the way, so pestle. If it was recognizable that the stone has been used, it's prepared. It's very large. And if they're made into stones, and obviously we're not makbid to use other people's stones, evidently, and it's recognizable they were used for wiping. You take them even there's more, there's larger in size than a handful. The Shabbat says, but if you can't tell other people you used it to wipe with, you're not allowed to take from it a handful. If you don't have a set place for them, some people are lenient nevertheless. And Shabbat says perhaps you only make it by small stones. Whatever the case to be, these halachas are really not relevant to us today, but they're in the Shulchan Aruch, so here we go. Here we are, so we are correct. The Cambridge Kino Blam ones, it says, since they've been used for this purpose, they're prepared for that. Even rain fell, and now they are somewhat smeared. Nevertheless, if you can, there's still a telltale sign on them. That they were used to wipe. Mutter, it's permissible. Shabbos, it's possible we're not prepared for Erev Shabbos. As Shabbos, they were used on Shabbos, and Shabbos, of course, it's too late to prepare them. Yesh Lakafil, but Suffolk came in the kill being Zet, since we're making on Kafra Brios, and make on the Suffolk Mukhan here as well. I feel a little similar. Gag, you're allowed to take these stones even to the roof if you go up there to use to defecate. Not concerned that it's too much of a toil. We don't say, well, if you're going to use the roof, you can prepare it from Erev Shabbos. There's a because it's a set place. Yeah? Nevertheless, they allow him to do so. There's two rights, and this is the quote. We don't say since he has this unique designated place, Yaleim Shomer Shabbos, so you should have taken them from Erev Shabbos at Kalashon. At the time after me nation look you smoke them, even though the Gemara indicates clearly that the generic leniency is based on there not being a set place. And therefore there's no possibility of preparing for Erev Shabbos. You can't Chagag, so here that's the case. When he goes on the roof, Lama Mutar, why is it permitted? Shabbos, could prepare for before Shabbos. Nevertheless, we have to say that Agag Mikri Kriyas Mokum. And the roof is not called a set place. I assume so, but this would make sense because roofs are obviously used for other purposes, and it's unlikely that a person would consider the roof to be a set place to use as a Beis HaKisei. Same for the Hedi, but there's the Sukkah, Dafla Mavav, and it says like that. Dalit, Ufiza Muchach Lehedya. I guess it's clearly indicated. Makom Sheish Lo Kvius Makom, a place where you do have a specific place. Let's say Sheish Mishiesh Lo Beis HaKisei Latzma, like today, where people have their own personal outhouses. And all of our outhouses are in the courtyards where one is allowed to carry. Everybody can prepare toilet paper before Shabbos. Today you can't use muktzah to wipe yourself. And the Magen Avraham evidently writes this. Goes from Armenios. Rabbeinu says when Beis Yosef disagrees, he says no distinction. Even today. This is what he says. This place wrote this generically. Sounds like even just like God take him up to the roof after Erev Shabbos, even they could have done for him before Shabbos. So for us, it's also meant to move this muktzeh for us because of kavod abrios ad kan l'shono. V'chein kasaba goes hashir b'Shabbos shab. Tukah stoys the sukkah sham gankim mistakim is there. There's also in Shum Divrei Atun near lehedya leheter. Okay, before we go further, Mishnah Berurah says the Magen Avraham holds that the Beis HaKisei is near your house and it's specific for you, and other people don't go in there, even members of your own household. So it's really a personal outhouse. Then you're not allowed to take stones in there at all. But Elio Rabbah is Mako no matter what. Obviously, kavod abrios can have far-reaching consequences, and that's why the Elio Rabbah is Mako, and it seems Arukh HaShulchan is tending to be Mako too. Let's go see what he says further. So in mind the Sfilik Gemara Hachi Perusha. You have to say that this is what he holds as a shot in the Gemara. This is actually two Mishin Einam Kaveh Makal Beis HaKisei. That they were matir originally is because the person doesn't have a set place in Beis HaKisei. But came to Hutra. Akshav Sheita, once they're mounted, he killed the Gamri. They didn't put back the Isser in specific circumstances. Because we can't say it's mutter for him and also for him. Came in the Yikar. Arukh HaShulchan says, I think this is the pshat. They didn't know Mark Kader with Kadem Shel Erev Shabbos. Let even we say like the previous opinion that he should prepare for Shabbos. Nevertheless, Maya said I talk Shalachim. What's he doing now? He didn't prepare. So if some kavod abrios, like we said before, this kavod abrios is an overriding factor. This It's the primary halacha. Yeah, everybody has to prepare. Because you can't prepare. And then, but you didn't prepare, God will cover up brios. And then, nevertheless, the cover of brios is primary and overrides. And you can take from the courtyard saying which is suitable for wiping, even though it is muktzah. Hey, some say dafka b'chotzim mutar tat lavanim. Some say only a courtyard are allowed to take stones. Some say that feeling b'karmel shus hayochin namishar. You have to take from shus rabim d'rabbanan to shus hayochin. Danami ain't no list rak is the rabbanan because it's final analysis. So it's the rabbanan. She'll cover the brios too, and we see that this the rabbanan, these the rabbanans, are mutar because to cover the brios. Ad kalashano. End quote. The Zesh goes out there, we should have said that which the Rambam modes in the coin first base, particularly in coin, you're allowed dafka. It's not literal. Their outhouses were in the fields. It means that in the same rishus, from the chutzah to chutzah, from a carmelist to a carmelist, chava to a chava, whatever. Lo mishus not going from domain to domain. V'afal gad the muktzah, even though they allowed muktzah, even though it's the rabbanon. To move from a shus to a shus is more chomer, and therefore they did not allow it. So Hotzah is more chomer. Interesting, you said. Both Ina Muktzah and Hotzah, both Rabbanan and Hotzah is more chomer. I feel ain't no chomer. So you know what? Maybe it's not more chomer, but nevertheless, the bottom line is loyati rak isur echav v'lo shnei isurim. You only want to one isur Muktzah, not two isurim Muktzah and Hotzah. But the second being holds the muktzah chamir me'otzah. On the contrary, muktzah is more severe than otzah. Mirshus l'shus b'rabbanan. Muktzah is more severe than moving from one domain to another in the rabbanan. Came at you too. Muktzah nekov abrios if they're allowed muktzah because of the dignity of human beings. Kosh k'shu to kamas they certainly allowed carrying in or shus rabim rabbanan. So that they chiluk ben isur echol shteisur also has no distinction between one or two isurim. Ve'elu shol day rishon can ask according to the first opinion. What are you going to do in the field where you're defecating? There aren't stones within Daled Amos, so you have a problem carrying Daled Amos. And it's just Rabbi Rabbanon. Tal Arba Amos Karmelis Vade also the Azu, and to carry 4 Amos in a Karmel should be also just like Hotzah Mishus L'Shus. Moshe has the talk of the chotzer, just like the Halakho. Moshe has the rabbanon, the karmelis, to the chotzer. Yesh l'mad yifnei mitoch arba mashavonim. It's saying he has to pinpoint his place to defecate within 4 amos of the stones. V'afim yesh l'mokum kavul sham, and even if it's a set place there, mikom kohen me'en sham avonim toch arba amos, and no stones within 4 amos. Lo yivnei sham, don't go there. They say lo trot, this is not permitted. Ya halacha yesh l'chol b'rabbanon. In practical halacha, you can make it in the rabbanon, which is that you can do Hotzah Mishus L'Shus, the Rabbanan, for Kavod Brios as well. The Sharat Tziyun says that even though the Eliyahu Rabbah said you can be lenient where he has his own personal outhouse, but if it's a Carmelist, the Eliyahu Rabbah says not to be Mako, but we see the Arukh HaShulchan says you can be Mako. And he brings down the brackets here that is from the Baal Tanya. And he says, anyway, because there is Shon Shetzion Rashi, in that first day, which does allow Hotzah, which the Ramah attributes to Rashi, Lomatzai said before Rashi. And Shamaduk, he didn't find explicit in Rashi, which would be another reason not to paskin the Chumrah. Vav, Uvezesh is Barsi based in Nikar Ba'emet Shekin Chubo. That was she said that if you can tell in the stone that has been used already, Mutzafil Yosem Maliyad, then you can take even more than a handful. Yeshishon are those who say the Gam Havanim Zalachem Shesvivav. Even the other stones in the vicinity. Huchu, they're permitted. Ava Pishalim Heker, even though they don't have a Heker on them. It's not, you can't tell that they're used for that purpose. The Chudvar, that's the Magen Avram, then Shul Kibarim, the Chudvar, the Emzer Shum Tam, Magen Avram, Eliyahu Rabbah both reject this. But the Arukh HaShulchan says, and he is daiti the Zorv Tzaikim. Arukh HaShulchan says, I think the Shul Kibarim is correct. The Kshenidactic, my mind is when we try and understand what is the work, the simon, that it was used already for wiping. Zarko Butler Mitzvah said it's already been tossed aside and negated from this purpose. We have to say it's like when you still throw broken parts of a vessel into the garbage. Well, since here is the place where the stones are, it's not a garbage heap. It's the outhouse heap. So therefore, Lobavle is not gated. So we still have to understand this guy who originally used it to wipe and prepare for wiping. He should look for this specific stone when the new guy comes to wipe. I should say no. They're not the same. Let me rephrase. Let me do that again. The same person. If you use a stone one time to wipe yourself, you have to go back and look for it again. The same stone. You should use the same stone over again. So you have to say that this general area was designated for stones to be taken, and doesn't look for the specific stone. So I prepared all the stones which are in the surroundings. And it's clear that he was designated specifically with verbally, even by thought. The stones in this area, the Mahani, it works. The Mahani designation works. So according to this, appropriate every person say to before Shabbos begins, preparing everything which is in this courtyard, everything which is suitable for wiping. Okay. Zayin. Im Yordik Shem Avanim, rain fell on the stones, and they got bent in the ground. Mechusim Bafaretz, if they're covered with the dirt of the ground, also you can't dig after them. Shoyichover Bakar, because you're digging in the ground. Now, Imru Shimoni Kar, but if you can see Milamala Shem Avanim, you can see they're not completely covered. You can still see the telltale signs of being in the stone there. Mutalit Lanka, they can take them in order to wipe. There's no digging or destroying or grinding. As opposed to somebody who separates clumps of dirt. The chai mishum token is chai because of grinding. The kan came in the avonim the kohen bnei and here since the stones are recognizable by themselves. Ein lemchibo bakarka, not considered to be connected to the ground. Utzor shaluba asavim, a stone on which there is grass growing, or probably a moss is a more likely scenario. You're allowed to wipe it. You're not considering going to by doing so cut off the grasses. The Ein Zeb secretion is not necessarily going to happen, so it's not a secretion. So therefore, even if it happens that they were shorn off, have a dar shem is kavin. It's something which you didn't intend. Blake assumes there's no prohibition involved. But I feel it's even if the stone is lying on the ground. Where we're going to learn later on, you're not allowed to pick it off the ground. Because since it has grass growing on it, it's as if it's growing in the ground. But that's only the Rabbanan, because it looks like it's growing from the ground. Forbidden a place where covered abrios is involved. Obviously, this is where you don't have anything else with which to wipe. For the fact reminded this covered abrios, he says in the brackets, they're right, and Magen Avraham, who's mounted this feel like Kedach Rosh Ramosh Baram Sifei, so that he holds the opinion of the Ramah. It's not just the specific Isra Rabbanan Muktzah, but other Isra Rabbanan, such as this Mechse Ketolish, which are permitted for covered abrios as well.